Okay, I think we can get started. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining today's HIA-LI Manufacturing and International Trade Committee meeting. Thank you for joining today. This is our monthly meeting of December and happens to be the last meeting of the year. So we'll be meeting you, I believe, next year. So we are definitely looking forward to it. So I think we can get started in the meantime. Today, we'll be talking about the new year. How can we be ready for the new year for our businesses, and what type of considerations we should have from different points of view, right? So we have a great panel today, our panelists, and I'll be introducing them to you shortly. So as a start, I'd like to just start with our committee introductions. As you know, as HIA-LI's Manufacturing and International Trade Committee, our mission is to help manufacturers thrive in Long Island area. So that is why we organize educational and informative meetings every month for manufacturers of Long Island and businesses of Long Island. Sometimes we cover manufacturing-related subjects. Sometimes we cover subjects with regards to international trade. My name is Kevin Devecioglu. I'm a co-chairman of Manufacturing and International Trade Committee. And also I have my colleague with me, our co-chair, Ran Loveland, also today with us. So together, hey Ran, good morning. Together we run our meetings on a monthly basis. So today, before we jump into details, Ran, I know you are getting ready for next month's meeting. Would you like to tell us about it?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Manufacturing International Trade Committee meeting. Next month, germane to the time of year, we're going to be talking about taxes, right? How are taxes impacting manufacturers, and some strategies from various experts, including our expert here this morning, Danielle Michelle, who's on the line, talking about R&D tax credits, sales tax recovery, Section 199, Section 179, all types of tax strategies that can help manufacturers to save money and take advantage of the tax laws to put money back in their pockets and help them to invest in their company and new jobs, new equipment, and to help them to grow and thrive. So hope you can join us next month, next year, right? January 13th, 8 o'clock. Hope to see you there. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Also, Ran, if you have a registration page, feel free to edit in the chat box so we can get started for registration if you have. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I appreciate it. All right. So this year, as you know, we have actually put together many different educational meetings. Some of them actually were on-site meetings earlier this year. Some of them happens to be online meetings, virtual, just like today. We talk about health and safety management at workplace, for example, for manufacturers. We talk about digital transformation for manufacturers as well as companies in international trade business. Speaking of international trade, we also had meetings with regards to how to do business with Vietnam, how to do business with China, and also we had experts from different departments, for example, as for international standards. When you are doing international business, import and export, for example. So it was also very educational, and we had a lot of attendees with us virtually as well as on-site. Earlier this year, if you remember, we met at Microsoft in Garden City. It was in January. And then we talk about how manufacturers can enjoy the benefits of technology and how manufacturers can also adopt digital transformation. We talk about it at Microsoft in Garden City earlier this year in January. Okay, great. And also, some of you I know follow us on LinkedIn. We also have a LinkedIn page. That's a LinkedIn group. If you also like to join us, that'd be great, so that you can interact with our group, as well as you can also have the latest news about our committee, what is coming and what we are planning. Great. Tony Joy, are you with us?
Hi, good morning, Kevin.
Good morning. Okay, floor is yours.
Thanks, Kevin. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tony Joy Candela. I am the office manager with the HIA-LI. I, of course, wanted to thank Ron and Kevin both. Again, they just do a great job bringing the manufacturing community together and being able to put on these really progressive programs for, for you guys. So, so again, thank you both for your hard work in that. Just a few things I wanted to let you know. Some great upcoming programs that we have, and as we kickstart our 2021 year. So actually starting tomorrow, we do have our Those Who Make a Difference celebration, and we'll be honoring 5 distinct individuals for their work in the Long Island business community and what they've done kind of through this pandemic to help others given the time frame. So we have our networking from 11 to 11:45, and then we have the program starting at 12. So I'll put that link in the chat box so you can register. Again, that is tomorrow. So if you can register today, that way we'll send you a confirmation email, all that sort of thing. That would be great. And then for 2021, we have our 43rd annual meeting and legislative program, where you'll hear from local and state representatives about kind of the 2021 forecast, as well as you'll hear some updates from the HIA-LI. That's going to be on January 22nd. So if you're able to join us for that as well, that would be great. And again, I'll put that link in the chat. That way you'll have it. And then again, just continue to keep an eye out for any emails. If you want to be part of our email blast or updates, certainly feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat so that we can get you on our email list. So thank you all so much, and hope you have a great day.
Tony Joy, thank you as always. I appreciate it. Thank you for the information. Thank you for keeping us updated. Much appreciated. Great. Let's move on. Okay, so we have an expert panel, and today we'll be talking about how we can be ready for the new year. There are many things to think about, of course. There is the accounting point of view, finance point of view, sales, marketing, quality management, technology. So today, of course, we have limited time. We cannot cover every single avenue. However, we put together a great panel, as we always do every month, so that we'll learn about technology. We'll talk about also sales and marketing. We'll learn about risk mitigation and other important subjects. So let me also, since we are getting started, let me introduce our panel. Okay, great. So I'll start with the introductions. Perfect. So Chris Coluccio is with us. Chris, as some of you may know, he is also a co-chair of Technology for Business Committee at HIA-LI, and his company is TechWork from Ronkonkoma, New York. He has 20 years of experience in the IT industry, and he's been working with many different companies in different industries. And Chris is widely recognized for his advocacy for technology and innovations and high standards for quality support and services. And we work very close with Chris, especially in cooperation with our committees, manufacturing committee as well as technology committee. Chris, welcome to our panel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We have Marty Khalif with us. He's the president of Paperless Solutions, PSI. Marty has many years of experience in helping companies going paperless. He's been working with different companies in many different industries. His company, Paperless Solutions, is based in Mount Sinai in New York. and he'll be talking about how companies can be going paperless and what considerations they should have getting ready for 2021. Marty, thank you for joining us. Welcome to our panel.
Thank you.
We have Alex Kvardirov with us. He's the president of MRAS Consulting. Alex is the principal of MRAS Consulting. He's a ISO 9001 certified lead auditor. He has years of experience in ISO certification, training, as well as lectures on various ISO related subjects. Prior to his current consulting activities, Alex was employed by Parker Hannifin as a program manager. That's where he actually got a lot of experience in AS 9100 certification and practices. Alex, welcome to our panel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Glad to join.
I appreciate it. Thank you. We have John McHugh with us. John is the president of Brainstorm Studio, and his company, Brainstorm Studio, is based in Melville, New York. John has many years of experience in different size companies. His company has been supporting them and helping them. His expertise happens to be marketing automation, CRM, as well as social media strategies. And he'll be covering sales and marketing related subjects today with regards to getting ready for 2021. John, welcome to our panel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we have Rob Tokarski with us. He is the Vice President of USI Insurance Services. As you may know, USI Insurance is one of the largest mid-market business insurance and consulting brokerage in North America. Rob is Vice President, Property and Casualty Group at USI Insurance. He has 25 plus years of experience working with manufacturing and service companies across a wide variety of industries. Currently, he works with manufacturers as well as different companies to help them manage their risk mitigation and help them manage their insurance-related activities. Rob, welcome to our panel. Thank you for joining us.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I think we can get started. So I'd like to invite Chris Colicchio to our virtual stage. And we'll learn about technology and how we can adopt technology, what we should be thinking about getting ready 2021. And we'll hear from him. We'll learn from him. Also, just so you know, at the end of our panel, we have a Q&A session where you can ask your questions. So if you have any questions, you can type in the chat box, or you can wait till Q&A session so that you can ask your questions to our panelists. Chris, let me stop sharing. Maybe you can start sharing.
Yes, let me hit play on this. And let me share out screen one. Nope, wrong screen. All right, thanks everybody for joining. I really appreciate it. I'm assuming you guys can see my screen now?
Yes, looks great.
All right, awesome. So I kept it really simple, but this is like a primer of something we do every year, and we actually just did in the Technology for Business committee. We had actually the Chief Technology Officer for UL Labs come in and discuss some of those topics that underwriters is dealing with when it comes to manufacturers and business and all that kind of stuff. So what I did is just list out some of the topics that we discussed, and I'll go over them. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is our Technology for Business committee, because we made a huge change this year. And we broke this technology committee out into these individual task forces. Those task forces are there now for the HIA members. And what we did is we put the best best technology minds that we could find in in the HIA, and we created a group just for them. And these groups now are out there to support, give free advice, create learning seminars in each one of these areas. So we have an outreach group. They're out reaching out to the community, polling the HIA community, finding out what the needs are for the HIA community and supporting its members. If you need help with anything, we can go out to that group and they'll point you in the right direction. We have software business solutions. Those guys are helping businesses pick the right applications, get them moving when it comes to productivity or digital transformation stuff. We have infrastructure team. Those are the ones who know how to, say you're buying a new building and you want to know how to wire it or get the telecom right. We have a cloud solutions team that's going out and helping you decide whether or not you want to go to the cloud, or should you choose Azure or AWS if you're inside that, if you're looking for that kind of stuff, whether or not it makes sense. Cybersecurity, obviously a huge topic right now. We have it both from the legal standpoint. So we have a cybersecurity lawyer on that group, and also a cybersecurity analysis who's a CSSIP, which can go in there and just get you started. And then emerging tech, which was the group that presented last for us, which is going out and looking at all of these new technologies and maybe helping decide whether or not it's time to pay attention to them, or it's something that can wait a little bit. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview because we meet the first Wednesday of every month, and each month right now we're highlighting one of these groups, and I think that it's really gotten very dynamic right now, and we're getting a good number of people in there, and if you need any support at all and you just want to might want to get pointed in the right direction, or who's available in the HIA when it comes to these different technology areas, feel free to reach out to me or any of the, I'll put up the names of who's running each one of these task forces. But there's two directors under each task force, and I'll put out their names for you guys. They'll get you pointed in the right direction without having to pay anything or get consultants in right away. They'll get you started. So it's a huge resource, I got to be honest with you, for now. So and we're kind of pretty proud of what we put together. So I would like, if you get a chance, take a look at what we're doing. On top of that, I kept this very simple. 2020 opportunities, challenges, trends that we're dealing with. They're honestly, a lot of them are really similar from what we had last year. We did this topic last year. We came up with a lot of the same stuff that we're still seeing. One of the big ones, these are not going to go in order now, but one of the big ones we're seeing is that, I'm gonna go through all of these so I can put them in the right order. But so the technology adoption, to be honest with you, in the manufacturing world, especially on Long Island, has been severely lacking when it comes to what we see on Long Island versus some of our clients that are in other areas of the country. And we're finally starting to see that the manufacturers are looking at what do I have in shop? What are other people doing? What's the adoption? And they're starting to work along those technology trends and starting to adopt those technologies and get into that business transformation mindset that we've been talking about for a while. So we really want, and we're helping and talking to customers about, what do you got in house and how do you adopt those technologies and how do you make it a part of your ecosystem? And we're starting to see that a lot of the manufacturers are really, where in some cases they've, what happens on Long Island was with a lot of manufacturers, 20, 30 years ago, they set themselves up, they had the best technology, they had it, and they're riding that out. And I think now they're starting to see they have to reinvest. So we're seeing like that. When I say new approaches to ERP software, that new approach to ERP software is really like, it's not just this customer database. It's not just this process software where you use it a little bit, but your systems and your travelers and all these things go outside of the system. When we say these ERP softwares, we're really working on clients' process from beginning to end, all the way across the life cycle. And these new ERP softwares, these enterprises, this could be, they call them CRMs, they call them ERPs, they call them all sorts of products that are out there that help your business processes. But we're really working with clients now, and they're really asking us to say, how do I become paperless using these products? How do I integrate this so that my clients can get their docs online? How do I integrate this into my Teams and my SharePoint and all those kind of stuff so that the process becomes more digital? obviously, because a lot of people are working remotely now, when you had these systems that weren't really organized or weren't really put together, it became a challenge, and they're starting to see that challenge where they didn't put everything into their ERP systems, and somebody had to go into the office to get paperwork or something like that. So next big trend that we're seeing is this big data KPIs powers. As we're adopting more technology, we're using these ERP softwares, and we're getting data from IoT from everywhere. We're starting to pull all of that data together, and we're seeing clients, they want to have these KPIs to understand how often machines are going down. Can they predict that the machines are going down in that predictive maintenance model? Where are the bottlenecks? How do we compare against other companies when we look at our key performance indicators? That's what that KPI is. We're using softwares like Power BI and other ones to put up dashboards for our clients, and they love this stuff because now they start to measure things that they could never measure before, because they want to say, where did that ticket, or where did that along the manufacturing process, where did we get stalled? Why did it wait 3 days in engineering, or why did it wait 3 days before it got on a machine when it should have taken 2 days or 1? And we can start using that. And as you start adopting those new ERP technologies and these other technologies, you can start putting that together to really create a powerful way to see what's going on inside your organization, see bottlenecks, and then get into this predictive maintenance. Whereas now, if we see people starting to add IoT and other things into their machines, and as they do that, they can start saying, well, it's not that I'm going to just know that every month I change the oil on a machine. I can know that, well, this machine, if it's used for 5,000 hours, it almost always needs this kind of maintenance. And because there's a sensor now that's in there that's actually testing the oil, for example, on a machine regularly, that oil, as it's being sampled in there, it can then come back and say, yeah, I know you only change the oil once a month or every 5,000 hours or whatever, but there's more impurities than normal in that oil. So now we can predict it and we can maintain ahead of time before there's a failure, or maybe there's some metal in the oil or something along those lines. So we're starting to see that using the predictive maintenance model and mindset, that businesses are starting to look and say, can I use these devices, or can I use this new machinery that's in there and start maintaining before there's a problem? Or in some cases, you're actually maintaining less because you were changing the oil every month, and you realize now I only need to do it every 3 months, every 5 months, whatever that is. So the predictive maintenance can actually save money out there. IoT is still a thing that we're seeing in the manufacturers, the Internet of Things. We have obviously concerns about it. Its adoption is weird. We're seeing it, IoT is obviously, you see it with TVs that are coming in that are smart, but also we've done a lot with temperature monitoring, where we're putting temperatures and humidity monitoring around the buildings for the manufacturers to understand where they might be having problems. They're not keeping their temperatures. It's affecting their manufacturing. It's still coming, and we should be looking at it. And you should be looking when you're purchasing new material, new equipment, what kind of IoT they have built into them. But so that's some trends that we're seeing. By far the biggest issues, 100%, and I put them off to the side for a reason, that we are dealing with in our manufacturers is cybersecurity and compliance. If you're a Department of Defense, if you're a Department of Defense contractor, you know that now you're up against CMMC and other compliances. But I'm telling you, even if you're not, the vendors that you are going to be using, the people that are subbing you, if you're doing work with Boeing, if you're doing work with anybody out there, the bigger organizations, they're going to start requiring you to be compliant. And so you got to start looking at that piece, whether you think you're a small organization or not. If you're selling to larger manufacturers, or you're selling your products to the Kmarts and the other people of the world, they are now asking for that compliance, even if you're the tiniest company out there. We've seen it at our clients that are $1 million or $2 million or out there. So, and then from the cybersecurity piece, there is tons of attacks going on. They're targeting manufacturers right now. We've seen it. They're stealing data. It's a lot from China and other stuff. So don't think you're too small. It's time to start paying attention. Get an audit on your cybersecurity. It's not that expensive to get started, and start taking this stuff seriously. It's the most important thing that we're seeing right now. Is that my time, Kevin? I don't know. I was getting a ding. So. Am I still good, or I have more time? All right.
Yeah, you have, yes, let me see, you have 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right. So what are we doing in the cybersecurity world and in the compliance world that we are doing for manufacturers? Obviously, the first thing to do out there is to get yourself an audit, right? And these audits, usually they're not that expensive. I mean, there are expensive versions of audits, but it's like you need to know a baseline of what your cybersecurity and compliances are. And the best way to do that is to have a company, someone, like I said, that doesn't need to be this really high-end audit to start, because almost exclusively you're going to find a lot of problems and trends and things that you need to fix. So get somebody to come in, run an audit on your organization. I would say for a lot of cases, if you have in-house IT, or if you have other ones, they should be doing this for you, but you always want to have a third party come in because, politics of that stuff, or just they might be blind to some of the things that they think is secure that other people might not. So you should really have a third party assessment on your cybersecurity. And then in the compliance piece, it's the same kind of stuff. The compliance audits become more complicated. We're actually looking at policies and procedures. We're working to make sure that those policies and procedures are accurate, that they're being in place. And then, in some cases you have to obviously submit them to, or right now, in New York State or in the DFARS world, you have to submit them to the government to review. But all that stuff said, we got to start taking cybersecurity seriously. Almost all of our clients are getting hit in one way or another. We're trying to educate them. Most of it's through email, most of it's through spam and stuff. But I've seen too many manufacturers. In fact, we've walked into almost 3 manufacturers this year as new clients that had active threats on their network that we had to stop because of the way that they were set up. And it's kind of it's kind of disturbing out there. So my advice to you is start taking the cybersecurity piece seriously. And as a nod to Rob, was going to be speaking a little bit earlier, I think that cyber insurance is probably the best bang for your buck right now, because it's probably the best way to keep your business from going down and not having to pay all these ransoms and having someone back you up if you do get hit with that. So I'll leave it there. I'll take questions afterwards, but all of these things are nice. Take care of your cybersecurity and your compliance, because it's a tough world out there right now. And I know I'm not trying to scare everybody. If you do it right, there's ways to lessen the footprint. But I think that the biggest issue that we find is that especially in the manufacturing world, they don't understand where their threats are. And they do things like add IoT to their network without segmenting it. So there was an article came out yesterday that I believe over 15 million IoT devices from a few manufacturers have a security flaw in them, that if the IoT device isn't patched, they can attack your regular network through those IoT devices. So there's all sorts of planning that has to be done about, if you want to implement things like IoT, doing this predictive maintenance and stuff, how to segment those from your network and keep each piece safe. So if one piece gets broken, it doesn't attack the other piece. So I'll leave it there. Like I said, I tried to keep it simple, but I know we'll have some questions afterwards. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your insights, as always. Yes, we have Q&A session coming up after our panelist presentation, so we can ask our questions. Let me take over the screen, and then we can continue. Okay, great. Yes, I mean, that's very important. I mean, all the information that actually Chris shared on his slides, predictive maintenance, IoT devices, these are really exciting. Especially as for predictive maintenance, for example, you can be proactive when you are actually managing the maintenance operations of your company, because normally machine breaks down and then you fix it, So it's called reactive maintenance management, which is very costly. But then you have tools such as IoT devices, which is not really expensive nowadays. Just like Chris mentioned, to monitor vibration, humidity, temperature. Then you can be proactive, and that is to reduce cost of maintenance. Actually, that's the way to go. Chris, thank you so much for your insights. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite Mardi Khalif from Paperless Solutions. Mardi will be talking about going paperless, what we should be considering getting ready for 2021, and how we can go digital and how we can reduce paper consumption at our companies. Mardi, if you are ready, you can take over the screen. I'll stop sharing.
Great, thanks. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody has the start of a good day. I just got to get my my information on the screen here.
Okay, let's try. Coming up.
No.
Okay, now we see your screen. Okay.
Everybody.
Yeah, we can see it. Can you make it full screen so we can cover the screen? All right, there you go. Perfect. Thank you.
Good morning. As Kevin had mentioned, I'm with Paperless Solutions. We provide document management and software document management conversion of documents. We've been doing this since 2005. We generally handle the tri-state area. And one of the reasons why we do this is many companies don't realize the advantages of going paperless. So I'd like to go over some of the information that I have that will help you going paperless. Some of the areas I'm going to cover are, I want to talk about some interesting paper facts, things people don't realize about paper, some of the benefits of going paperless, how to implement the document management system, the setting of priorities for the implementation, the importance of training, and ending up with some additional thoughts. So let me start with some interesting facts about paper. About 1960, 1970, computers started coming into the business workplace, and people thought that would be the end of paper, that we end up having a paperless office, and it never materialized. If anything, computers have increased the amount of paper that we have, almost triple the amount of paper. It becomes an issue to handle. People don't realize that it costs almost $2,100 just to maintain one file cabinet. What I mean by that is to store the documents in the file cabinet, the creation of all those documents, maintaining it, it gets to be kind of expensive. And then with all that paper, it takes people sometimes 6 weeks out of the year just looking up information, finding information. It becomes really a hassle handling paper. And a file cabinet, a 4-drawer file cabinet, can hold up to 16,000 pieces of paper. That's a lot of paper to go through. Employees spend 2 hours a week finding information, and out of all that information, a lot of it gets being misfiled, where you're spending time looking for documents. Sometimes they're misfiled, sometimes they're out of the file, sometimes they're sitting on somebody's desk. You just don't know where the documents are. And you can spend up to 25 hours just to recreate lost documentation. So paper becomes a hassle. It's very expensive to maintain and just very time consuming. So some of the benefits of going paperless, going paperless will save you time, save you money, save you space, provide security to the records. It's just a more efficient way of handling your documents. In order to get started, you really have to do a proper return on investment. People think that going paperless, they understand that you're going to have to bring in the equipment, that you're going to have software. you're gonna have to have training, and that it can be very expensive. That is it worth the switch from going to a paperless office? But there are some companies that they can get the return on investment in weeks or months, depending on how they use their paper. It ends up being a very big labor savings issue. As we saw before, paper is extremely time consuming to work with. It takes a lot of time and effort to handle all that paper. Going with a digitized file will save you the time, the money, the space. It just adds also the ability to go work remotely, especially with COVID right now. Many people are working remotely as compared to working out of the office. And if you're working out of the house and you need a file, it's just not healthy anymore to be involved with other people. So working remotely is a great way of doing business today. And that's one of the things a paperless office will allow you to do. The other thing is there are savings on photocopier costs. Copies are very expensive. You have to, there's maintenance costs, there's toner costs. And then of course, a digitized document allows you to do more. With a digitized document, you can share information without the cost of making copies. The same thing with printer costs. You got all the equipment costs, the toner costs, the ink costs. A company could save $500 a year just in supplies by going paperless. In terms of lost and misfiled documents, you'll just never lose a document. I had a company that they couldn't find some information for the government. It cost them $100,000 because they couldn't find one piece of paper to prove what they were doing. So just being able to find information and recovering information, if you were to have a fire or a flood, you'll lose all that information. It can't be recovered. But if you digitize your records and you store them in the cloud or in a backup drive, you'll never be without your documents. You'll never lose documents. And the same thing with emails. Emails have created additional paper. Now with a lot of document management software, email can automatically be transferred into any file you want without you doing anything. It'll automatically show up in the file without you having to handle it. So it's just a very good time-saving areas in terms of storage. File cabinet, a 4-drawer file cabinet can take up about 8 square feet. When you think about how a drawer pulls out, you need all that space to handle the storage of documents, retrieving documents. Now you just store documents on a computer or in the cloud, and it'll just save you a lot of space and end up saving you, of course. Real estate in the office space is very expensive. So you just save all that space. We had one company that they stored documents off-site. They used to send people off to the off-site storage location a couple of times a week, losing time just to find documentation. They also had records they stored in a storage room in their office. They were able to recoup that space and bring 3 salesmen aboard without having to find extra space for them. So storage costs are very expensive. And then of course there's improved customer service. If you think about it, if and when a client calls and you have to find information, either put them on hold or take their phone number, you got to go to the file area, find the file, hoping that it's not missing or sitting on somebody's desk, call the person back. Then if they need a copy, you got to go make a cover sheet and fax it to them, and then call them back and say, did you receive the document, discuss it, or you go through regular mail. It just doesn't happen instantaneously. But if you're using a paperless system, when a client calls, you just key in the information appears on your screen, you answer his question. If he needs to see a copy of it, you can email him right then and there. 30 seconds later, he has a document on his computer screen, you resolve the issue. So it improves customer service. And as I said, document security, if there's a flood or a fire, you lose all your information. I read during Katrina, One of the storage areas was flooded in New Orleans, and people just couldn't get to their documents after the flood. Documents were destroyed. There was nothing they could do about it. Companies could go out of business if they don't have security to their documents. And it's the same thing with disaster recovery. If you were to lose all your documents with a fire or a flood, or just lose it, you could be out of business. But by storing the documents in the computer, they'll always be available to you no matter what happens. The thing is that with implementation, it's something that just doesn't happen overnight. You just don't say, you wake up one morning and say you're going to implement the system. You have to start doing, management has to lead the way. You can't implement a system going paperless without management agreeing and following up and showing everybody that they are all backing in. They're going to take ownership of going paperless. Because if they don't do it, then the employees say, well, if nobody else is doing it, why do I have to? So you have to prepare your employees when you install a paperless system. You have to tell them why it's to their advantage. That will save them time, save them energy. It's good for the growth and profitability of the company. So so you want to make sure that everybody's on board and that they're going to continue with the project that you're putting in place. And you have to do your homework as well. Not a paperless system isn't really for everybody. I was talking to an attorney who is about to retire. He had about 650,000 pieces of paper that over the years that he accumulated. And he wanted to know if it would make sense for him, since he has to maintain these files for 7 years, would it make sense for him to go paperless? So we were talking to him and going over about how he does things, and came to the conclusion that it wouldn't pay for him to scan his records. It just wasn't for him, because he wasn't going to produce any more files. So he had 7 years of files. Next year he would have 6. The subsequent years would be 1 year less. In 7 years he'd be out of paper. So it wasn't worthwhile for him to scan all his old documents, because it would take manpower to do it, the cost of the equipment, software, etc. So in his case, it wouldn't work. But yet we had a mortgage company that was storing documents off-site, 3 different locations. It was costing about $1,500 a year for the off-site storage. They would send 2 people down twice a week to find files. Then they would come back and just spent a lot of time looking for documents. If they had to mail information, they found out that they were spending $1,000 a month on postage when they could start using email instead. They just the way of doing it. You just have to do your homework and make sure that it's the right system for you. And scanning is not a marathon. I'm saying scanning is a marathon, not a sprint. It's something that you just don't wake up in the morning and say, okay, I'm going to go paperless. My whole company's not going to go paperless. It's a long-term process. You have to determine who's to be responsible within the company for going paperless. You choose your project manager and lead employees. Then you determine which documents you want to start scanning. The best thing is
hello, Marty.
Yes.
Hi, this is Kevin. Sorry to interrupt. You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You have to determine what documents you want to start scanning with. You may want to pick a permanent file or an area where there are just a lot of records that are taking up space. So you make a decision which application you want to start with first. You run with that application, you learn the application, and you continue working with it, getting all the kinks out of it, and then you go to the next application. You have to determine how you're going to index. There are a lot of ways to index, whether you're using alphanumerical by date, target sheets, etc. So you got to figure your indexing and how you're going to store the documents, whether they're going to be on site or through the cloud. And then you have to check to come up with a document management software to retrieve the information. It's something that you have to make sure it will suit your needs and use it for future growth. So you got to do a lot of your homework. And then also you have to decide if you're going to go paperless and you have a lot of older files, do you want to scan them yourself or use a service bureau? So you have to set all your priorities. And then you have to determine who needs to be trained, whether certain departments are going to be using the document management software or only managers or supervisors of certain departments. Everybody has to know how they're going to do it. The important thing is that all employees who handle the files and need access to the information should be trained. The failure to train people only leads to confusion. It creates low morale, and people just end up not going with a paperless system the way you want it to work. So training is a very important issue. Just some additional thoughts. Going paperless isn't just scanning paper and saving it. It's something that you use as an active document. And the absence of a proper document management system can cost a business both time and money. Going paperless is not only good for business decision, but it's good for the environment. And you should also let your customers and vendors know that you're paperless. So anyhow, that's my my thoughts about going paperless. I hope everybody can go paperless, enjoy the benefits of paperless. And of course, thank you and have a safe and happy holiday. Okay, Kevin?
Marty, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let me take over the screen. Great. Thank you very much, Marty, for your insights and informative presentation. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we talk about technology. We talk about also how to go paperless and how to go digital. So now let's talk about how to manage quality and how we can actually manage our management systems. So I'd like to invite Alex Kvartirov to our virtual stage, and he'll be talking about subjects about quality management as well as continuous improvement. Alex, would you like to take over the screen?
Yes, thank you very much, Kevin, and good morning, everybody. Okay, let me share the screen. Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, all right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, all right, yeah, so I'm gonna very briefly talk about quality management system. And just a little bit about my company, and I guess Kevin already introduced me, but I just want to again emphasize that I'm working with businesses to help them achieve and maintain ISO certification. Okay, now even though today's topic is not about ISO, but it's about quality management system, but really quality management system is really the core of ISO. So in order to be ISO certified, you definitely have to have a very solid quality management system. And also, I just want to mention that since 2018, I've been a solutions partner with BIMSER because BIMSER has very good software tools to help manage your ISO functions. So a little bit about quality management system. And like I said, again, if you're not ISO certified, you really, as a manufacturing organization, should have a quality management system. And basically, it consists of policies. So, you know, what are you trying to do? Namely, the most important thing is to satisfy your customer. In order to do that, you have to have procedures. And there are a number of procedures that, depending on your business, that you have to have in place. And also responsibilities, how you're going to implement those procedures and how you're going to manage your business, including your personnel, your resources, communication, and really spreading the knowledge of the quality policy within the organization. Now, on the right-hand side, I have a diagram here of a typical quality management system. So what it really involves is continuous improvement. So in order to do that, you have to do your measurements on your products, on your development, as well as getting inputs from your customer. And then management has to really control and look at how you can make improvements, make corrections, so that your quality and your efficiency improves. And that's really a very important aspect of a quality management system. Okay, so what are the elements, major elements of a QMS? Okay, so it consists of processes and their interactions. So what are processes? Well, processes are really activities that you set up within your organization. So it is very important that they interact properly, and that really develops your efficiency, and it leads to more effective and internal process to make it more efficient. So then obviously you have a lot of documents, and now you have to control documents. And I can't emphasize what Marty said about documentation. Obviously, so the storage is extremely important. So now you have hard copies versus electronic storage. Also, even if you convert to electronic storage, now you have a choice of going to a central database versus distributed computers. And I'll be talking more about that. And also, you have to have in place a configuration control process, how you update your documents. And also you have to have a traceability of the changes, because sometimes you want to go back and say, well, what did I change this document? So you have to have the reasons for making the changes. The last item, the element for QMS is your data that you collect, or your records. And that really forms the basis for your continuous improvement, because you have to have data in order to make decisions on, well, how do I make improvements? And either you take wild guesses, or you really base it on data. And part of the data that you collect is really through an internal audit process. So as part of the internal audit, you looked at your processes, and then you may identify deficiencies where you want to make improvements or corrections. Now, what are the lessons learned to really going forward? And so really managing QMS has always been a very challenging proposition. Unfortunately, this past year, this had been made much more difficult with COVID, okay? And because now you have a number of employees that have to work remotely, and now you have obstacles in really accessing the company data, because from a remote location, especially if you have hard copies, well, how do you get up to a hard copy if you're working from home, let's say? So a virtual control of the QMS documentation and records is really important at this stage. And audits, for example, especially if, because of the COVID restrictions, you may want to limit the number of people that come in and do audits in-house, and maybe you want to do those audits remotely or virtually. Now, the question is about a remote workforce. Is it, it's probably going to continue into 2021 and beyond, because it was found that it is really more productive for some of the people to work at home, because they don't waste time commuting to work, and they are really more free to do more work overtime, put in more overtime. And also, by having remote access, you have access to a larger labor pool, okay, without having those people to relocate. Now, obviously, to do that, you really need a software tool because to implement QMS management, both on-site and remotely, that does require some tools that can help you to do that. Now, I just want to say that obviously in a manufacturing environment, the people that work with the machines and so on, they obviously have to be working on site. But a lot of the support staff, like sales, purchasing, finance, and so on, they can certainly be working remotely, and this is where the tool definitely comes in. Now, what are some of the qualifications of a tool that help you to do this work remotely? And, obviously, tool has to support, doing your quality management, risk and compliance management. And some of the features that I think a tool must have is it's really have to have all the information stored in a central database. Because now, wherever you are, whether you're on site or working remotely, you have access to all of the documentation that you need to do your work. Again, it could be, the tool could be working on a cloud or on a on-premise server. So you have access to with a mobile app. And now you have to identify what data is accessible to what personnel, because certainly certain information should not be made accessible to everybody. So you need some read-write privileges that the administrator can determine. And again, very important part is that if you're doing an audit, whether it's a audit for ISO certification or just an internal audit, that in order to do an audit virtually, you need to have access to all of your QMS data. So again, the tool has to provide that capability. And again, it eliminates the problem of having documents, even though they're stored electronically, but they could be stored on various different computers, and even that takes time to find, well, where are they? So if they all stored in one database, then it's a tremendous help to manage your QMS. So another thing is to provide documentation control, or it's called sometimes configuration management, and to give you the traceability of the changes, as I mentioned before. That is a very important part, because sometimes you may want to go back to a previous version, and this will give you the very easy way of doing it. And also, I think it's very important is to monitor the activities and their schedules, because so many times you're not meeting the deadlines, and sometimes management is not informed about it. So that, again, the tool can assist you, and it can automatically, and if you missed a deadline, it can automatically inform management so that management can take immediate action to address this problem, and not wait till it's too late, and then it sort of snowballs, and then you, of course, are late in making your deliveries. So again, that's, I think, a very important part of the qualifications of and the capabilities of such a tool. So that's basically what I wanted to say. That's my presentation. And thank you very much for your time. And I'll, I guess, release control to Kevin.
Thank you, Alex. Much appreciated. Quality management, QMS, very important to think about. I mean, we whole have to have some sort of a quality management system in place, and many important things to think about in that sense. Alex, thank you very much. Also, just for your information, we keep our contact information on the screen. So if you like to continue this conversation, if you have further discussions, if you like to have, you can send email to our panelists or to us, Ron and myself, if needed. So our contact information is on the screen. Now I'd like to invite John McHugh from Brainstorm Studio. John will be talking about marketing and sales related subjects while we are getting ready for 2021. Let me stop sharing so John can share his screen.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, John.
Let's get the share going.
Okay, looks good. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so yeah, so we're going to talk about digital marketing strategies for manufacturers in 2021. And just to give you a little background about our firm, we've been in our 18th year in business. Seen a lot of changes in digital marketing over the years. It seems to change pretty much every quarter. Our focus is specifically on manufacturers and technology companies. So this is one of our biggest focus areas. All right, so 2020 was definitely a really challenging year. We all know that. We had to make huge pivots to stay in business. But hopefully the silver lining on the pandemic, if there was one, is that businesses have made probably 10 years of innovation in 1 year. We all learned to work from home. We embraced cloud technologies, as Chris alluded to before. We learned how to close deals with a Zoom call rather than traveling and having a steakhouse dinner. So at Brainstorm, firsthand, what we saw is many of our clients' trade shows and in-person events were canceled. So we had to quickly pivot strategies because many of those, I'm sure many of you rely on, 1 or 2 big trade shows a year to get a whole bunch of leads that could carry you, and fill that pipeline. So without that, we had to double down on lead generation and content marketing programs to help clients, keep those pipelines full. So what I'd like to go into is our top 7 digital marketing strategies. So content marketing. I'm sure you've all written articles and blogs, and we're sharing content right now. So a recent study by HubSpot showed that 70% of B2B marketers are investing in content marketing in 2020. And I expect that to even, increase in 2021. So why is that so important? It's because content, it establishes you as a thought leader in your industry. And it also helps your website rank really high in search engines. There's more searches going on now than ever before. Again, we can meet in person. So, we have to do searches online and prospects. Excuse me, is there an audio problem?
I think someone's microphone was on, but I muted it, so we can continue. Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, let's keep the microphones muted for our attendees. Thank you.
No worries. So as marketers, getting our content ranked in search engines is more important than ever, because if we can't meet people in person, your prospects are searching for solutions to their problems online. So if you have that content and your website ranks, you will be found. And what does that do? That helps you build trust and capture someone early in a sales cycle when they're doing that education and that research. And you can nurture them through the sales process. Next, number 2, marketing automation. Many of you probably have heard of my talks over the last few years in the group, where, maybe 2-3 years ago, marketing automation was a trend. It's no longer a trend. It's now the standard in B2B marketing. A recent study from Social Media Today
showed that 75% of companies are using marketing automation. So if you're not doing it, your competitors are. And the benefits of marketing automation is, this software can do the work of multiple salespeople. It can nurture leads and tee them up so they're more sales ready for your salespeople, and give them great intelligence on what content, what videos, what technical papers prospects have researched. So when it gets to a member of your sales team, they know exactly how to close that lead, and it's going to make those leads close faster. Two platforms for marketing automation are HubSpot and Pardot. Those are our top two picks. Next up, number 3, AI-powered technology. I mean, AI is influencing all technology, but especially with marketing, it can allow us to do things like A/B tests for landing pages. Meaning if you have 2 pages that, have forms on them where you want someone to fill out, you can, A/B test, one version on one, maybe a video on the other, and see which one performs best. Google Ads rolled out a lot of AI-powered features in the last year, allowing you to auto bid on different types of keywords in order to maximize conversions. Right? We're all looking to generate leads. That's what it's all about. Clicks are great, but leads are even better. So they even have AI built in that can write ads for you based on what they think is going to perform the best. So one technology we're actually testing right now at Brainstorm, which is really cool, deals with email delivery. So, especially now with the pandemic, we all have different work habits. You don't have a commute anymore in the morning, right? So you're probably starting a lot earlier. Maybe even you pop on your computer late at night. So this software allows emails to be distributed on a mass basis, but be sent with individual send times. So if I open my emails commonly, at 6 a.m., I'm going to start receiving emails at 6 a.m. If Kevin emails, he checks his emails at lunch at 12, his will be sent at 12. So this software learns when your customers and prospects are opening emails and sends them on a one-to-one basis on when they are most likely to open the email. So super effective and not really expensive either. We're seeing open rates, typically a mass email, maybe 15 or 20%. We're getting opens into probably the 40 to 50% range. So super effective. Let's get on to number 4, personalization. So yeah, if there's one thing I can say about marketing this year and next year is stop sending mass emails, stop buying lists, and create a blast that goes to everyone on your list with the same message. We've talked a lot, other speakers talked about the power of CRMs. There's free CRMs if you don't have one. HubSpot offers a free CRM. Load your contacts in, segment them, whether it's based on products they bought from you before, maybe it's industries, maybe it's, aerospace, medical, construction, whatever industries you happen to work with, and start sending more personal messages to the different people on your list. There's plenty of ways to automate that. You can even personalize them by, hey, first name, we thought this would be a great fit for company name. And all those things are going to add up to much better open rates and engagement. Okay, paid social. So yeah, Kevin mentioned the LinkedIn group. I think we all know LinkedIn is the top B2B social media platform out there. One great thing about LinkedIn is in 2020, they made a huge investment in their advertising platform. They updated new ad formats. There's one that we happen to really like called lead gen ads. And basically what that is if you have technical white papers or research reports or anything for your type of business, You can send an ad out to specific job roles and companies with that, and they'll see it in their timeline, and they can click to download with one click. No more filling out a form with all these fields. They get the, the research paper or whatever it is, you get the lead. Very cool. So, and another thing they did is they improved their targeting. One that we happen to really like, especially we're talking manufacturing. A lot of your clients probably happen to be engineers. So you can target ads to specific certifications. So if there's, engineers that have, specific, electrical certifications or aerospace, whatever it happens to be, you can go right after those engineers. So that makes LinkedIn, one of the most powerful databases on the internet. Okay, moving on to video. So pretty cool. In 2020, video became the most popular content format on the internet. First year this ever happened. Last year, 2019, it was actually blogs and infographics. That was the most popular content. So, video is officially the #1 content on the internet. So why is that? Video allows you to humanize your brand, and put a face behind the logo and the services you provide. While there's plenty of value in professional videos, we produce them ourselves. Lower quality video has become more acceptable with the pandemic, right? I mean, we're all doing these virtual events. You see a lot of talking head videos on LinkedIn. So it's cool that it's allowed us to just kind of be ourselves and, not have a production facility and just create like engaging video content, for our prospects. So, it's a great thing. So that's one thing to start getting involved in. So in 2020, it's not 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where it's like, okay, have a video on your website. Now you actually have to have a video strategy and have multiple videos. And I would say not only use it in marketing, like use it in sales. There's times we'll send a proposal and I'll send a 45-second video of me with the proposal. Hey, Karen, here's the proposal we discussed. You'll see everything hopefully we spoke about. Give me a call if you have any questions. Let's see when we can get together again. I mean, how simple is that to record a little talking head video, include that with the proposal? Or when we have clients that ask us, oh, how do we do this in this piece of software? Instead of writing out step-by-step instructions, I'll just do a quick screen record and say, hey, Karen, you know what? Here's how you load the listing and here's how you segment it. And when you want to send, this is what you do. It takes 45 seconds, makes you look like you're really high tech, and it just provides more value for your customers. Next up, customer experience. While this is not specific to marketing, it's more just about business in general. I just thought it was really important because we see so many clients always focusing on new sales. How do we fill that pipeline? How do we load the top of the funnel? But I always stress that it's just as important to put the same amount of effort into client retention, right? What we do is each year we try to think about what part of our business is causing friction for customers. Is certain work taking too long to get done, long timelines? One thing we always do, we use Slack for Messenger, Teams, obviously pick up the phone, live chat on our website. We try to offer the best customer service we can. We've seen a lot of positive results from having live chat on website this year. And I don't know, many of you probably think, oh, live chat, it's for a consumer business, it's for a bank. I've had manufacturers get engineers from ExxonMobil reach out to them on the live chat on their website. Like they couldn't believe it. And they were so thrilled to have a live person on the other end, not a bot that's trying to answer your questions in an automated way, like an actual real person. And basically what that does is it just starts the conversation. And then you say, hey, you want to pick this up in a few minutes on the phone? I'll call you. Give me your number. So it just, it's a quick lead in to getting someone on the phone. But, back to the experience, I would say speak to your customers, maybe put out surveys and learn what the friction is and what the pain points are in your business and try to fix them. There's also plenty of software out there to automate and streamline service requests. Zendesk, HubSpot also has a service platform. I know Salesforce does as well. And basically what's that going to do is that's going to just improve your client retention. It's going to create upsell and cross-sell opportunities, and you're going to find more referrals, clients referring you to, other businesses that they deal with. So just great on so many levels. So that was my 7 steps. So
Thank you.
Doing okay on time, Kevin?
I think time is up, unless you'd like to share some final remarks.
Yeah, I'm on my final wrap up. So yeah, as we turn the corner in 2021, things are going to look a little different, but there's a lot of positives. I think we all have like strong client relationships now because the pandemic, we all went through everything together. We're all doing these video calls and stuff like that. People are continuing new ways of working and shopping, a lot more e-commerce, a lot more business being done on the internet. So it's really important that you maximize your internet presence and use it, to fill your pipeline and grow your business as much as possible. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity. And if anyone wants to reach out to me after this event, I'm happy to take a look at your website, hear what goals you have for next year and see if there's any way we can help. All right. Thanks a lot.
John, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the insights.
You're very welcome.
Yes, definitely. Very, very important. Using all the digital marketing tools, social media, videos are great. I mean, that's very exciting. And it was actually great to learn about it. Thank you, John. Much appreciated. If you'd like to learn more about it, if you'd like to get in touch with John and our panelists, our contact information is on the screen, our email address on the screen. You can stay in touch with us and we can continue our conversation. Okay, great. So now I'd like to invite Rob Takurski to our virtual stage, and let's learn about what we should be thinking about, what we should consider with regards to risk mitigation, cybersecurity, insurance, and other risk mitigation related subjects. Let me stop sharing, Rob, so you can start sharing your screen.
Great, thanks. All right. And we'll go to the slideshow. So a lot of great
Okay, we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, a lot of great content that was provided here, and I think it's pretty appropriate. I'm going to go last to hopefully tie it all together. So I thought what I'd do very quickly in my time here was just basically, first of all, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Rob Takashewski. I'm the Vice President of Property and Casualty, working for a company by the name of USI Insurance Services. We are one of the top or largest brokers. We're an insurance broker, risk management consultant in the world. We're in the top 5. So I'm going to give a brief USI overview. Very, very brief though. I'm not going to make it into an infomercial, but more as to kind of understanding our differential, understand how we as a company are prepared for 2021 and beyond, because our business model kind of plays to some of the trends that we have seen out there. So I thought we'd then talk about recognizing some of those trends in 2021 and beyond, some best practices to consider for your business or for your area, because it's going to impact you moving forward, and then some of the resources that may be available to you. Okay, so that being said, really our elevator speech or our infomercial simply is, there's an awful lot of different companies out there that can provide levels of insurance and in risk management consultancy, and that's cool. You know, we're pretty uniquely situated in that we are one of the top 5 in the world. However, and what that means is we have size and scope for markets. We have size and scope as it relates to trends and understanding across industries that we then can take down to the local level. I give you that background because our differential and where it plays into things that you've already started to hear about with technology. And, you know, to Chris, one of our speakers earlier, Chris, I work with Chris, and I think Charlie Ward's on this call and a couple of others as part of the tech committee that is part of HIA. And it's been a great resource. And it's, you know, I would tell everyone, make sure that if you have some opportunity to attend a meeting, it is very informative, just like and helpful, just as these manufacturing and international trade meetings are. Okay, so that being said, our differential really revolves around technology also. You know, so we use benchmarking and we use analytics as a means for providing targeted support when it relates to insurance and risk management, because we want to tailor, you know, companies are spending an awful lot of money on insurance. They want to make sure that they are provided with the right coverages, because the last thing you want to do is to find out that you spent, you know, $50, $100, $200,000 on insurance premiums to find out that when something does occur that you weren't covered. And I think of insurance as having, you know, going out and buying a generator for your house or an umbrella for your car. You know, you don't want to have to use them. You know, if you're using them, there's an issue, there's something out there, but you're really glad that you have them at the time that issue arises. So we use benchmarking, we use analytics. We have a proprietary system that kind of, you know, updates and provides that tailored approach. All right, so I give you that little elevator speech simply because the trends heading into year 2021, and everyone's kind of experienced it or started to experience it. A lot of what we're going to be seeing in 2021, especially from the financial end and the risk management end and the insurance end, we've already started to see in 2020, and they're becoming more concrete as we move forward. So a couple of things. One is, you know, insurance markets. They're gonna continue to harden. And that's just a fancy way for insurance folks to say insurance is getting more expensive to buy. And you know, so I want to go over the trends and, you know, basically how they may impact you specifically or your business, because I think that's the key takeaway is that's cool that we want to be able to show or highlight some of the trends, but really you got to be able to internalize them as to the impact, both positive and negative, they may have on you, and then being able to mitigate the risks that these trends could provide. So if the insurance markets are hardening, what does that mean? Fancy way of saying that it's getting more expensive for insurance. Why? Why is that occurring? Well, several reasons. One is that there's been more named storms in the world in 2020 than ever before. And what that does is that puts pressure on the insurance markets because there's a lot of more payouts that are happening, especially on the property side of things, as you know, as we move forward. But it's not just the storms that are impacting, and you know, obviously the payouts. There's a trend known as social inflation, and really what that is that we find more and more situations not getting resolved appropriately via insurance. So when someone feels that there was a transgression, that there's more inclined to go to court. And in the past, there used to be a lot more settlements. Now, you know, a lot of the plaintiffs are taking their chances and believe that they have friendly juries. So they're seeing bigger and bigger jury awards out there for any of the claims that maybe didn't get satisfactorily resolved for them. You have so there's a lot of these issues that are out there. The coverages are becoming more limited, and the carriers are becoming more selective. So you're going to be asked a lot of times as you renew your policies as to more information. And you may be saying to yourself, oh, I've had the same insurance carrier, I've been working with the same broker. Why are they asking me these questions now 12 years later? Well, because now carriers are worried about payouts, and they want to make sure that they fully understand what type of business model you have, and which will wind up going into my second point here, which is with 2020 and beyond, you've started to see that as there's more risks out there, and they're newer risks and added pressures on company owners and business models. And really, what does that mean? Well, again, we've talked about cyber, and Chris started off very well, kind of saying you need to be aware of cyber breaches and cyber concerns. Small businesses, large businesses. In the past, it was always, well, it's not going to happen to me because I'm in this industry, or it's not going to happen to me because I'm this size company. The bad actors, the criminals out there really don't care the size business that you are. They just care if they have, if a criminal's walking down the street and there's a line of cars, they're going to see which car door is open so that they can, look to, perform some sort of either steal the car or the contents of the car. Same thing here. They're going to look for vulnerabilities, regardless of the type of business that you are. So there's a lot more risks surrounding cyber breaches and cyber attacks. Ransomware is it's been up 700% in 2020 over previous year. And we're going to see that continuing. And the ransomware is basically shutting down your systems and your computer and asking for a ransom. And that as a bigger problem, cyber risks have been identified again as for 2021 as the biggest concern that business owners, small and large, have regarding the risks that they face moving forward. I give you that information because, again, you're going to see more demand for cyber security products out there because it just makes sense. But also, you may see it from an insurance perspective. Companies, underwriters may ask you about the protocols you have or the equipment that you're using. We talked about new risks about cyber, but not only that, there's other risks that are out there. One that has been coming up if you're a company owner or a company executive in the past, you have what's known as directors and officers in insurance. And basically what that means is that if the company gets sued, you as a director aren't held personally responsible for the actions of the organization. Now, moving forward, there seems to be more litigation that is happening where they're saying, not you as a business owner, as a company executive, you created an environment that allowed this to happen. So I'm going to look to try to hold you responsible as well. So you see a lot of pressures on the D&O area. And then, again, I think that as business models have changed, you have companies like GM that are making or were making ventilators, but were previously making, cars or still making cars. You have restaurants that 100% were for dine-in, now are doing delivery service and allowing for pickup. The business model changes that are out there also now bring additional risks for those companies. And you just got to be aware that and make sure that your policies cover that. Because if you have now a delivery service for a restaurant, you now have drivers, you have, you make sure your commercial auto has been looked at and been reviewed and to make sure that you're covered, that there was an instance that may have occurred. The third trend, last one that I just want to mention is just, operating a business during a pandemic remains very challenging. Well, no kidding, Rob. We've seen that in 2020. We're going to see that continuing in 2021. And, so some of the things to just kind of think about from that trends and why is that, so, there's a lot of different risks with each type of employee. And I'm not going to, I've done webinars before with some of my friends in the legal area, is that you just got to be aware that as you reopen your business or your business model has changed, that your employees may now be in a different situation where they're, previously were working in the office, now they're working from home. There's risks or different risks that are at home. They were previously in the office and now they're going out and delivering, for instance, for a restaurant. So just being aware about this different types of employees and the risks that are out there. Managing physical distance. You see companies that have taken the actions of putting plexiglass up. There's a lot of technology that's being used for facial recognition to see if you're utilizing your masks when you go into a building, temperature checks. You got to make sure that you're doing these things to keep your business up and running. And even if you're a service provider and you're going into these facilities, knowing that they have these protocols and need to have these protocols, because it's keeping in tune with whatever the local and state regulations may be, but also because they're looking to keep you and their employees safe on site. And the last part of it, which is, again, with the remaining challenges, is making sure that your physical workspace is prepared and continues to be prepared. Maintaining the appropriate levels of inspection of the equipment or the whether it's the HVAC system, the security system, the fire system, to the updating of the protocols that you may have in place, to even the cleaning. And I know that technological advances. You have cleaning companies that are now using things such as UV and using it very effectively for a way to clean offices and provide a level of confidence that the cleaning mechanism is helping combat COVID-19. So just be aware of that. Some best practices I consider. Yep.
Hello, Rob. Hi,
Yep.
this is Kevin. Sorry for interruption. You have 5 minutes?
Yep. Very good. No worries. Best practices.
Thank you.
Yep. Best practices to consider for 2021. First of all, research resources available to your businesses. You got HIA, you got a lot of different service providers. I know some on the line I've worked with before on this call. They're very good at what they do, and they're more than willing to provide the knowledge base out there. The internet is a dangerous thing, but it's also a fantastic resource to be able to find means of the best practice. Work with your insurance professional. I'll give a shout out to myself and a bunch of other brokers across the country. Make sure that your business policies, you're reviewing them, you have them available at your fingertips. Too many of the folks that I deal with, when we start talking about insurance, they don't have their policies available. They don't know what's in there. You spend an awful lot of money on that insurance. Make sure that you're reviewing it with somebody that knows and understands your business and can make some recommendations. Whether you decide to move forward with some of those recommendations, not become a function of how risk adverse or how much risk you may want to transfer to others in the form of insurance. Embrace technology. Again, I talked about it, and I'm not going to go into it because there's so many different webinars and white papers and video out there, but there's an awful lot of technology out there. Utilize it to not only become more efficient. We talked about the document, the wireless document and the scanning that's going on there, to IoT, to quality management systems. All of those things are great efficiency, and you need to do them. Marketing automation, you need to do them to make your business more successful and efficient. But there are things out there to utilize from technology to make you a safer risk, because as it becomes more expensive out there for insurance, those companies that are looked at as better risks will have better pricing and better more options in the market. Adopt the technology. Again, we talked about it. We're seeing a lot of supply chain disruptions. We're seeing companies getting involved in new sales channels and new products and solutions that they're offering that they weren't offering before. Just, they're utilizing technology for that, but be aware of things that you want to make sure that these are things that are effective for your business and tailored. The last piece of it just simply is that cyber threats need to be understood and steps taken upfront to mitigate their impact. I'll just leave it at, many people have cyber insurance policies, and that's a good start. But you want to, especially with the types of businesses that each of you may have, you want to make sure that it provides the right level of coverage. Many times third-party coverages, many times some of the more basic threats that may be out there, social engineering, aren't covered or really are covered very briefly, so that if you do have a breach or a concern, there are limited options you have in terms of and resources to be able to mitigate that. So just be sure that you're practicing good cyber hygiene, you have a cyber incident response plan, and then you're thinking about it to kind of tie up what Chris said earlier. You're thinking about cyber security as a means to protect your business. So that being said, I'm going to finish on that. Hopefully we finish within the time frame. I thank everyone. And I thank both Kevin and Ron for giving us the opportunity to provide some insight, and we're available for any kind of, the most basic to the most specific of questions to talk about.
Well, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you for the insights. Very informative, very educational, as always. Thank you. Yeah, time-wise, we are good. So what we need to be doing right now is to address questions, if you have any. Some questions I received earlier, so I can ask those. And if you have any questions right now to our attendees, you can unmute your microphone and you can ask your question. That is one way of doing it. another way is to basically you can. I need to unmute everybody. Okay, let me see if I can. All right. So if you have any questions, you can ask our panelists. You can unmute your microphone. One of the questions that I can ask, for example, is for Chris. Chris, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. I appreciate it. So one of the questions actually is about cybersecurity. It also touches what just Rob mentioned as well. So where to start for cybersecurity at our company? What is the starting point is to implement, just like Rob mentioned, a good cyber hygiene. I like that term. Thank you.
So I guess the issue with cyber is that, you have to really understand the baseline of where your organization is. And, for me, not understanding where you guys are at from a technology standpoint. I mean, there's the policies and procedures that you need to put in are dependent upon where the organization is already. So I always go back to the best way, and there's assessments that you can take online, there's things that you can do, but getting somebody to come in and say, where are we at? Because, for example, I walked into a manufacturer recently and, their IT person said, everything's fine, everything's great, everything's working. We came in and did an assessment and was like, you guys are using technology from 2008, unpatched, unupdated. So you need to know where you are. I mean, there has to be an education piece to it. And so at the very, very least, or where I would start, is probably getting your team educated, at least to look out for what's out there, because almost all of your cyber attacks right now come through people in your organization that are untrained, through phishing attacks and spam and other, and actually targeted, what they call spear phishing. So that's where you get most of your stuff. So if there's even just getting a small training protocol, or we have a software that goes out and sends test fake spam, fake phishing emails out to clients just to test their people to see where they're at. And you'd be surprised, 30–40% of the people click on these things. So that's your biggest line of defense, is to say, look out for things like, I never did a wire transfer before, and now all of a sudden people are asking me for a wire transfer. If you do nothing else, I mean, even more than changing passwords, even more than doing all those other things, start training your users to look out for that stuff. It makes a big difference. But nothing really, honestly, beats an audit that tells you where you are with your baseline, because that's the only way you know what to pick and choose first and what your hot issues are.
Hey, Chris, just to expand on that, we found with some of the cyber claims coming in over the previous year that more than 50% of the claims have been because of user inability to either identify, or they click into the wrong thing. So it's almost actually like 60% of the issue. So having great equipment is needed and necessary. But if you have people that aren't even trained or following consistency in it, you're going to get beat by it.
I mean, a good example of that is, and this is a company that has all the cyber stuff in the world, and they got they have very high level, very high level security already in place, and somebody got scammed just for buying gift cards online, and it was, and they wound up using the company credit card to buy, because they said, oh, we want you to buy gift cards for us, and they thought it was real, and they went out and they bought these discounted gift cards, and they spent $1,000 and they lost $1,000. I mean, it's a small example of what goes on. Had nothing really to do whatsoever with the technology inside the organization.
Right.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for addressing this question. Is there any question from our attendees? Okay. In the meantime, I have another question. So this question is for John from Brainstorm, our panelists. So is there any unique marketing trend for 2021 that you can share with us?
Any unique marketing trends?
Marketing trend. Yeah, I believe you mentioned about video a lot. I think that's really unique in a way that is actually more important than before, because really we cannot really see anybody face to face nowadays. It's very difficult.
Yeah, that was one major point of it. Like I was saying, a few years ago, everyone just had like a corporate video on their homepage. Like
Mhm.
now we have to think about what's our video strategy. You know, if you're like, you know, a company that solves problems, have a video section, have a knowledge base on your website where customers can watch videos that solve their problems. Like really think about how you can leverage it. And also, like I said, tie it into the sales process too. Like we're actually sending prospecting videos now where we'll look at a prospect's website, spend a minute, bring out some tips like, hey, we noticed you're not doing this or not doing that. By the way, I'm John. We're in Melville. I'd love to talk. And we're getting a huge response to those. It certainly takes time, and it's not this mass approach of sending out thousands of messages. It's much more one-to-one, but you wouldn't believe the results you get. And people actually thank you for sending them videos. It's just a whole different, more, like we said, more human approach.
Mhm. Yep, appreciate it. Thank you, John.
Sure.
Again, I keep our contact information on the screen. So if you'd like to continue this conversation with our panelists, you can get in touch with them. Their email address is on the screen. One question that I have is about ISO. Alex, are you with us, Alex?
Yes, sure.
Oh, you're here. Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah, I see you. Okay, thank you. So, what type of companies should prioritize getting ISO 9001 certification? This is especially, I believe, from my understanding, the question especially about manufacturing, and what type of manufacturing companies should prioritize ISO certification?
Well, again, I think any manufacturing company, whatever field you're in, whether and you know, I didn't go into ISO, but there are different ISOs for different type of industries. So they focus on very specific things that you have to do. But just about any manufacturing company would benefit by having ISO certification. And it really gives you exposure, and certainly now a lot of the customers require that your suppliers be ISO certified, because the new ISO standard requires that you do a lot of investigation to your suppliers, because your product would be as only good as what you get from your suppliers. So that's why I think ISO certification is important. But if you are not, you don't intend to go for ISO certification, certainly you can adopt the quality management system that is sort of defined by the International Organization for Standardization that developed all the ISO requirements, because they have a lot of experience, and it took many, many years to develop the ISO standards. So, you know, looking at what is required to be ISO certified and what kind of quality management system you need, I think is an important aspect of improving your business.
Thank you, Alex. Let me see. Also, I think I'll get one question before we end our meeting. This question is from Marty. So in your presentation, you mentioned and explained about implementation plan. On average, how long does it take to implement going paperless?
It depends on the application. Everybody's needs are different. If you just store scanning documents for just maintaining the files, you know, for just storing files, you could send them out to a company to scan the records. As soon as you get them back, they're implemented. There's no real length of time. It depends on the application, depends on the company. If it's just going to be for, I said for storage, it's one thing. If it's going to be active files, then it's something different. You got to have the pick your software, pick your indexing. You got to pick people who's to be the project manager. So it all depends on the company and the application.
Thank you, Marty. Yeah, so there are different factors, obviously. So we need to, think through this. Okay, so I think I'm looking at my list. I think I addressed all the questions. So, well, I'd like to thank our panelists for joining our panel today and sharing their insights and expertise. Much appreciated. So, moving forward, next year, of course, just like Ron mentioned earlier, our co-chair, we have another meeting coming up on January 13th, so you can register. Ron posted the registration link in the chat box, so you can register. So we are putting together our programming for next year. So if you are interested in sharing your insights, joining our meetings as panelists, please feel free to get in touch with me or Ron, and we'll be happy to cooperate with you. We always welcome insights from experts from HIA-LI community. We'll be happy to welcome you and also have you in our panels. Just send me an email, and then we'll plan together in coming months what we can talk about in an educational and informative way to help manufacturers and businesses about businesses, especially in manufacturing and international trade. So please get in touch with me if you're interested in being a panelist at our committee meetings. Another thing that we are also getting ready to implement is next year we are getting ready to get sponsorships for our committee meetings. So if you're interested in being a sponsor in our coming manufacturing committee meetings, please get in touch with me or Ron, and then we'll be happy to cooperate with you and work on the details. Before I end the session, Ron, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'd just like to add one more thing. Next Friday, the 18th, at 8 to 10, we're going to be having a 5S workplace organization, lean manufacturing virtual training. Had a great turnout last month for that, so we're going to continue. We have a series that we're going to put together for the next 6 months, the third Friday of the month. So hope you can join us there.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. Happy holidays. Stay safe. And looking forward to seeing you, hopefully face to face, in one of our meeting rooms next year. Thank you, and happy holidays. Thank you very much.
Ron, Kevin, good job.
Stay safe.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.
Take care.